Hey, hey, welcome to the YOUthentic Brandcast. I am your host, Kerstin Heuer, and in this Brandcast, we chat with entrepreneurs who have been building their brand by being fearlessly authentic. And with that, we want to inspire other entrepreneurs like you to lead with your heart and share your truth so that you can attract your dream clients without feeling distracted by flashy marketing tactics or your competition. Today, I'm excited to have a special guest. His name is Adam Kiddoo. He is an entrepreneur and business coach. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm super excited to have you here today. This will be an awesome conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and I'm a fan of your work, so I love this.
I'm a fan of your work too, you bet. So today we are having a topic, and before we dive into that, Adam, just say a few words and introduce yourself so that our listeners today know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say I'm a wildly passionate entrepreneur with a big heart and who's focused and driven to help other entrepreneurs to namely get out of their own way, to start honoring their offers, their value that they're here to help other people with, and to begin to stand for the future of what you're creating in the world around you, whether that be in business or in life. And so one of the things that I also like to hang my hat on is I've done, sales calls and things like that for a couple of my mentors. And I've crossed this threshold in just over a year's time of enrolling over $1 million in sales. This came from the guy that used to feel, scammy and sleazy and pushy and dopey and sneezy when selling early on. And I've come a long way in mastering how I view sales and also mastering my own energy when it comes to being in these enrollment conversations to help people to make an empowered decision for themselves. So that's something that I love helping others with as well.
Wow, wow, wow. And Adam, I can say I've been in one of your programs and I loved it. It totally has changed how I see sales now. And so today's topic is how to be a sales ninja without ever feeling pushy, salesy, or sleazy. So, because you know what? This has been me, and I'm thinking a lot of other entrepreneurs have been feeling the same way. I absolutely love what I do. I love helping other entrepreneurs with their marketing and branding and to stand out. But you know what, Adam, when it came to really selling my service, I really didn't feel comfortable because I thought I was stealing someone's money. Although I knew what I did was great, but I just didn't really have the confidence of going out and owning it.
Yep.
So I'm just asking you. You just said it wasn't always, well, it sounded like it wasn't always for you like this. Was there an epiphany moment? Like you didn't, or did you always like selling? Like what
No
happened?
way, Jose. I've always been a people person, and I've always had the ability to connect with people. But like you said, there was just so much stigma around selling and what it meant, and an aligned way to do it. My first real adventure in selling was when I was in college, where the professor had us go out and actually sell these little radio spots for $50. Right, so I took it amongst myself. I said I'm going to get the top in the class, and I did, and it was pretty easy, even though there was a lot of resistance early on. And then I got the opportunity to start selling a different package for one of my teachers. And I procrastinated and I procrastinated, I procrastinated. And he was literally like, all you have to do is talk to these people. They're already going to say yes. They sign up every year. And it was still, there was something about the whole sales conversation and facing rejection at that standpoint that was just eating me alive. I was doing everything and anything to procrastinate it. And what I ended up doing is it worked out to my benefit. I created added value to even make sure that their yes was a lot easier for them. And so that was my approach to sales. Then there became this point in time where I started my career with a traditional ad agency, a 25-year-old ad agency, a traditional media ad agency. And my first assignment was to call over 300 daycare centers to interview them for their playground equipment and ask questions about when they're planning their budgets and all this stuff, because we had a client that had a product, targeted towards them. And these people had kids crying in the background, they can't hear me. And these people just, did not want to hear me. And they're like, why are you asking about my playground equipment? Like, what is this? And it scarred me. And I carried that resistance with me for a long time, to where, yet again, when I first started selling for this company, actually going out and selling, I made one phone call and I started asking the potential client to meet with me, and I froze. And I literally couldn't speak for like 5, 10, 15 seconds. And then I found my words. And yet again, it was another scarring experience. And I think we've all had certain situations to where we ask for something and it doesn't go so well. So then we carry that baggage with us into sales and all that. So yeah, it's definitely been a bumpy ride from the get-go for sure.
Yeah. But what really has changed? Like you are a totally different person now. You are teaching others to sell from their heart. So what, like, was there an epiphany moment in your life where it suddenly made click? Like what was it? Because I have learned so much from you. But like, what was it really for you that made this click?
Yeah. I think the biggest epiphany moment was that I realized how much emphasis I was putting on myself and how I looked, and and not wanting to be rejected, and what it meant about me if I was rejected and people said no. There was so much emphasis on me, but I'm not really that type of person. That I'm so cautious and considerate about me, because I want to connect with others, I want to grow together, I want to help people, but my perspective and my attention was only focused on what it meant about me if I put myself out there and people say no. And it
Mm-hmm.
took a while, and it did. And I even saw back then, I was like, look, I want to be of service, I want to help people, just hold my attention there. But I would naturally get back into scarcity, and I need to make a sale, and this has to work, and I hope they get it. And there was a lot of frustration, and people can sense your energy if you come onto a sales call, or if you present an offer, on a webinar or any sort of presentation, and you have this scarcity and urgency and hoping people buy. Even if they had a phenomenal experience and even if they like the product, that's going to put up resistance that's going to work against you. And I used to do webinar presentations to where after I would present an offer, I would literally have to like shut down physically for weeks. Little by little, inch by inch, I started becoming aware of the baggage, the meaning I was attaching. And I realized that, hey, look, this is an energetic game. The more
Mm-hmm.
energy I can manage, the more I'm able to stand in my personal power and to help more people, which is essentially what I'm here to do. So that's the main focus, is not making it mean anything it doesn't need to mean about sales. Selling to me is leadership. It's leading someone.
Mm-hmm.
And also not getting wrapped up in how I look and how I'm being possibly perceived by other people, because that's going to burn my energy out and make sales a lot harder in itself as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
I think, yeah, this is so right. It's all about like energy. I mean, people really focus on, I need to name my message and I need to get the words right. But you know what? You can have the best message in the world if you are sitting there and saying, I am the best marketing and branding people. And nobody will believe me. It's about you have to capture those people with your energy and draw them to you,
mhm,
or other it won't work. So for me, Adam, what really made click for me when we went through, when I attended your heart-centered selling program, was that I think at one point you said you are helping others to make a decision if your service or product is right for them.
yeah,
And this helped me to really detach from the price and just focus on my service and the value. Because I believe that everyone, like, if you really, really want something, you will find the money for
yeah,
it. But at this point, it's also about you. I think you always say like fight for your client, and
yes,
meaning they're in a situation where they have to make a decision, and it might be fearful to, I don't know, invest, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever this is what we offer, and they are fearful. So our job is it really to show them the opportunity and what's possible for them.
yeah,
And how can we do that if we don't value what we do? And
mm,
this also comes back to that energy.
yeah,
So like how do you help your students? And I know you have your heart-centered selling program coming up soon again. Yay!
yeah.
So how do you help your students to change this mindset of like, being in this position of, I don't know, but my service is great, but how do I sell this?
Yes, 100%, 100%. So a couple of things come up there is one, we are here on this planet as human beings, right? We're humans, and we like to just think that that's it. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much power we really hold. But we are constantly giving our power away of what people might think, and the whole inadequacy and imposter syndrome, and perfectionist and procrastination, all that stuff. The overthinking burns up a tremendous amount of energy. So then when we're putting these in these situations to where we're here to stand for our deeper knowing that this is the work I'm here to do, at least right here and right now, and I can help people. When we're leaking energy all day long and we're sitting there, we're presenting an offer and our thoughts are just going, then we're not going to be as strong and in our conviction to show people that, look, I can help you. And if we don't have that conviction inside of us working from our personal power, and if yet again we're working, I worked from fear, doubt, and scarcity for the longest time. And anytime you work from fear, doubt, and scarcity, you're going to get scarce results. There's no way around it. You might get some people to buy, yeah, but if you are in your personal power, standing for yourself and your value, and also standing for the people that you're here to help, that's a beautiful blend. People will sense that about you, and they'll sense that, hey, look, you're a leader. I trust this person. I can see how I can get to where they are, and they seem to know how to get me there. Like, we can do this. There's always 3 lines in sales that you're getting your people to cross. Number 1 is, do I need this? Right. So hopefully you guys are able to show them the value, show them what happens without this, show them what happens with this, what's possible with this. Do I need this now? A lot of people have the Amazon wish list just full of stuff that I'm going to get to later. And if you don't really help them to see what's at stake here, where are you going to be in the future, if you're not able to, nail your branding now, then people don't see it as, I need to buy now. And the third most important line to get your audience, your potential customers to cross is, can I do this? And if you are having uncertainty, and I get it, it's something that you must continue to practice, but if you're having uncertainty in your ability to enroll people, to hold the space, to ask for the sale, and your ability to deliver what you said you're going to deliver, people are going to sense that. And here's the thing. We put a lot of emphasis on, hey, look, somebody comes in my program. What happens if they don't get the transformation? It's not my concern. I can literally give them everything and anything they need to succeed, and they could still not do it. So I'm not going to put so much emphasis on that, but I am going to hold the space, and I am going to do everything within my power to make sure that they're in motion and they're in moving. But there's, just these little caveats that our brain wants to pull us out of alignment, and also pull us out of our present moment with these little what if conversations. But when you can stand and come to know, and I talk about knowing a lot, come to truly know, not analytically, but with your heart, with your feeling, with the higher version of you, that when people work with me, when people are in my environment, they are much better off than they are without me. I don't need to be sold on how, what's the sequence of my modules and, all this and stuff. Are they better with me? Are they better without me? And if you can come to fully answer that one question, they're better in my presence, they're better with my guidance, you will stand for your offers. You will stand for your value, and people will come to know that you're a force to be reckoned with, and they'll want to work with you.
Yeah, this is awesome. So like you just said, like really acting from your heart and being also, I think for me, that's being aligned with who you are. So like, what is the difference? So if I usually think about selling, I think about, I have to call someone, cold calling, and I have a script that I go through. I have a certain word.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Is that what you teach, Adam, or what is different with heart-centered selling?
Yeah, and it really comes down to what's transpiring in this conversation. Obviously, if I just pull somebody off the streets and I start presenting an offer to them, we're not in agreement. We're not on the same page. And in order to really be powerful in those conversations, you must have connection. And so if it is one of those things to where I'm doing clarity calls, right? which is a good thing. Early on, I was so resistant to just get on a call with somebody and just hold space and ask questions. But if they think they're there to work through something and then you're just shifting into an offer, it can feel icky to you and to them. So the way is to just continue to get an agreement, right? But there's so many different ways to get people in your presence, whether that be a kind of like a presenting to many, to a group, or one-to-one conversations, and it always shifts and shapes a little bit, or shifts and shapes. But I will say there's this premise that I speak more about in the video series coming up about controlling the frame, right? Because it is, sometimes you come on these calls and it's just like a coffee chat or whatever. So this person's like, oh, we're just hanging out and chatting and connecting. And then you try to take the leadership role in the conversation and it's kind of like feels off a little bit, but you have that opportunity to kind of set the tone from the very get-go to let them know that, this is a conversation that we're going to be having that could potentially benefit them greatly. And it's not necessarily you just saying that, but it is just kind of like setting and priming the stage, asking powerful questions. And the one who's asking the questions, it's not like the other person can't ask questions, but the one who's asking the questions is the one who's controlling the frame.
Yeah, that is big. So controlling the frame. And so you just mentioned like a free video series. Can you tell us more about this? What you will be covering with that?
Yeah, so last year I did what I called a beta training. It was kind of the first couple times that I went through and did this training, and phenomenal results. Got great testimonials and things like that. And so we decided to take what we learned from that beta experience and create a new training that's a little bit more dialed in, a little bit more evolved, so that way people are actually having actionable things to do when it comes to mastering the art of selling with your heart. Because we could all, like Kerstin said, we can all have a script, a blueprint, a process. Is like, this is the selling formula. We can all follow that and get different results. And so there's a big component, an energetic component of the whole entire sales conversation. But also there is powerful language patterns and heartfelt ways to say things that are going to allow you to feel more in alignment with yourself, and that's going to connect deeper with your audience. I used to do webinars, and I would feel there were certain things that I was following from my mentors, and I was like, oh, I just don't like the way this makes me feel, and I'm just going through the process, and I don't really know why I'm doing this. But I'm big into psychology, breaking down more of what's really transpiring in these sales conversations, so that way you can come to know what it takes for you to manage this energy and also present an offer in a way where it makes people say, hell yes, I want this.
Awesome. That sounds
That's
really.
what we're going to be talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And I am sure we'll be joining that again. So I had a question written down here for you because the YOUthentic branding is all about being authentic and being you. So what does being authentic mean to you, and how can being authentic help us when we sell?
Yeah, I love it. I think more than anything, the marketplace is becoming so sophisticated that the old sales tactics, and literally you could just do a webinar like 6-7 years ago and people are like, oh, what? Like, this is cool. We're doing this online thing. We're hanging out and they have this offer and people are just buying like gangbusters, right? And now the market's becoming more sophisticated, so they kind of know what to look for and things like that. So it really is those who are authentic, those that others sense are true to themselves, that are winning the day. And that's something that I used to not be that. I used to think that I needed to be the expert and needed to be the authority. And so I was always trying to position myself. And I was just having a conversation with a friend a little bit ago to where I used to speak loudly to people and I'm trying to say, you guys need to do this and all this stuff. And it just didn't feel good. But it wasn't until I really took a step back that I could see that. And so now authenticity for me is more of a question of being present and not necessarily working from the past or trying to predict the future. It's being fully present and being me. And there's a few caveats that are kind of like bumpers that I try to steer clear of to allow myself to be in this present moment. One is attachment. So I could be attached to the results and I need this to happen. I need so many customers and I need these sales, which that's going to skew my energy. That's going to pull me out of being authentic because I'm going to be working from this place of scarcity. We live in an abundant universe. Nature's abundant. We are abundant. So if we're working from scarcity, that is false, right? If we're working from heart, expansiveness, abundance, that is truth. You come to feel it from a visceral level. If it feels good, it's expansive. And so there's also a conversation too about, working from the past and attachment to the past. It's like, if I did this launch one time, or I presented this offer and this is how it went, we seem to think that that's how it's going to go again. And so we're bracing ourselves for, people, didn't like this offer, or somebody said something about the offer, whatever. Yet again, we're not present. So when we can really be present in these present moments, and I just had a flash of a client of mine in my coaching intensive who presented an offer his very first time presenting this new program, this new membership. And I was on the call when he presented it. And he had this moment, this SHIT moment, to where the energy kind of got intense and he almost kind of lost his train of thinking. And I've been there, so nobody else spotted it, but I knew exactly what was going on. But we've practiced this and just talked about managing our energy, keeping our mind still. He collected himself. He went on and he had phenomenal results, like best conversion rate I've seen, in quite a while. But it was like the energy became this kind of big deal for him, but he just stayed present, got back in that present moment and continued on, and people were connecting with it. People were loving it. And it was a beautiful experience. But so many times we get this one little thought that just derails us. And that's why I said earlier, I used to be freaking exhausted after a webinar because my mind's like, crap, I shouldn't have said that. And should I do this? And all this stuff. I'm not in my personal power. I'm not in my strength. But when I'm in my strength, I have more conviction and people are more likely to join me and to enroll and to make that empowered decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So is there a specific trick or technique that you can recommend to our listeners today? Like if I know exactly what you mean with those moments where the mind just goes off and we are but how can we go back into like feeling centered? Like, do you think something specific? Do you just get your energy back to your heart? Like, how is there a specific thing that you do?
Yeah, I love this. So this definitely starts before the call, right? We want to be able to get ourselves in a peak state. And I say peak state, it's just more in your power. It's centered, it's strong. You don't have to be overly hypey to where you get on the call and they're kind of coming on the call just kind of subdued. And you're like, hey, how are you? You're like totally going to ruin the rapport and connection if you're just like overly hyped. So that's not the peak state that I'm talking about. I'm talking about in your power. And so in these moments to where your mind starts kind of going, I've trained myself, and yet again, this happens before the call, but I've trained myself to quiet my mind and shift back. And any time, and it's wild, like you'll be sitting there talking and all of a sudden your mind's just going, you're like, shut up. I'm trying to do something here. Leave me alone. But I've trained myself to know if my thoughts go a certain way and if they don't feel good, I know instantly that I don't want to serve them. It's not helping me. It's good. It's going to be disempowering. It's not empowering me. I want to navigate through them. And so instead of fighting my mind and things like that and trying to shut it up, I will simply say thank you. And in that moment, it's a simple reminder to come back to the present. So these negative thoughts are actually good things because they allow me to come back to the present moment. And it's big about awareness and practice and catching yourself. I used to at one standpoint when I was doing sales early with that ad agency, I would go into just meet with different prospects, and I would just stop in on businesses, cold calling, if you will. And I would sometimes have a conversation. I would just break out in a sweat. And I'm sitting there, I'm working to be present, and I'm sharing with my heart and wanting them to see the possibility and what's possible and working together. But I have this visceral reaction, these nerves, my heart's racing a bit, I'm sweating. And all the time, I'm probably saying 50 times in there, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And it's just like riding a bike. The first time you ride a bike, you're like, your heart's racing. You're just like, what the heck is this riding a bike thing? I'm like about to kill myself. Why do people do this? Then you get better at it. You get more centered with it. And then you're able to just hop on a bike and ride. So it does take practice. But also, yeah, that's a great question to have a simple practice of your own, even if it's a sticky note that says thank you, right? Be grateful for this moment, having these people or this person in front of you to where they're in your world. They're curious about what it looks like to work with you, or they have some intrigue about your offer. So be grateful for that moment, right? No matter what your body or your mind's trying to tell you, just come back to that moment, ground yourself. Just even move your body a little bit if you get tense. Make sure you breathe and just be in that moment and enjoy it, because it's not every day that we have people that are, we are holding attention, and people could potentially want to work with us. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love this so much, because I think when we are thinking about the whole sales conversation, we are often really like leaving our own energy on the table. And I just had that a couple of days ago, where the conversation like went in a totally different direction. I was exhausted afterwards. It wasn't even really a sales call, but it was, I lost the track, and I afterwards have thought, what was I doing here? Like, what happened? So can you like say, like, being a sales ninja is not, so what I understand is not like going out, following a script and being pushy, but is rather what does being a sales ninja mean for you in order to get really and help others to shine and thrive?
Such a great question. And I will direct this to, at this point in time, your number one superhero strength, no matter what you're doing, if you're doing one-to-one calls or whatever, is your ability to listen. Because people will tell you one thing and they'll have objections and, oh, I can't afford it and all this. It's such an easy escape. They're on this call for a reason. There's something about this call, this program with you, that they know life can change, life can be more expansive, they can benefit from working with you. But we're going to let them off the hook by just saying, oh, I can't afford it. Right. And so I'm listening. What else is there? I'm not just listening as the words. I'm tapping into what else is there. And if they're asking a question, what's the question under the question? So my ability to be still in these moments is my competitive advantage. It's my superhero strength. And so that's one way to become a sales ninja. Another way is to become so disattached to the results that you really don't care how this call goes, right? It's not about my ego. If somebody says no to me, it means absolutely nothing, right? It means they could potentially work with me later. That's all it means. I'm leaving people in possibility. But that's a key distinction in being a sales ninja, is to be able to, and it's funny too. It's just like, I don't even like that term, but it's kind of fun because people have a stigma around sales. Like if I say the word sales, what comes up? It's usually, salesperson, slimy, sleazy, whatever. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's probably in movies and society that you think salespeople are sleazy, but salespeople are essentially leaders. They're leading somebody to making a decision. And my whole job in sales conversations, is to get people to this jumping off point, this step in the road where they choose to cross the line. I cannot drag them. I cannot force them. I cannot make them do anything they don't want to do. I'm going to empower them with a new perspective, with the tools they need, with more certainty and comfort in knowing exactly how this our agreement plays out together. And then at that standpoint, I will hold space for them. I will ask one more question where other people will not ask another question. There's a lot of people that they get one objection, they're done. They say they couldn't afford it. Okay. But they're spending, $6, $7, $8, $10 on coffee every day, and they're going out to eat, 5 times, a week and all this stuff, but they can't afford it. Okay. And you're going to let that stop you. So I'm going to ask another question. I'm going to say, how do you know that? How do you know you can't afford it? How do you know you're not just one client away from being able to pay this whole thing off? Right. So then I shifted their attention from, I can't afford this, to the potential of, oh yeah, just one client away. Like one client, I could pay this off, or 2 clients, I can pay this off. When they're looking there, all of a sudden I took this stop sign and I moved it out of the way, and I helped them to see that the small little actions could really pay off. And then at that standpoint, I've got a better ability to help them to see what's possible moving from here, because that's just one small little step. And when you learn to master selling from the art of, selling from your heart, so much more opens up to you, to where you might get 1-2 sales, you pay your way, and then everything else is gravy on top. So if they're going to see that instead of seeing their resistance or seeing what happens if this doesn't work, they're going to be more likely to buy. So it's helping them to see what they're not seeing.
Wow, Adam, this is gold. What you just said is really gold. And I think these are perfect words to end our brandcast for today. And so can you share, when does your free live series start? Is that on October
14th, Thursday at 11, October 14th. And, if you can't make the date, we're definitely going to have replays up for a little bit. It's a 3-part live epic training series, and I call it epic for a reason, because I go above and beyond. You can ask any one of my, Heart Center Selling Mastery students. I'm the type of guy who over delivers. And so I want nothing more than this series to really set you up to begin to look at sales in a whole new way. And there's going to be some things built in to where we're going to, invite you to take on some challenges with us, to be able to open up enrollment conversations and speak to people differently, to where we're no longer forcing and saying, you need this and you've got to do this and you should do this. People don't like to be sold to. People don't like to be spoke at. But people do need leadership. People do need to know that they're in great hands. People do need to know that you have their best interests in mind and you have their back. And so that's some of the deeper conversations that we're going to have about managing energy, saying things in a different way to bypass mental filters, these blocks that most people are becoming sensitive to. The same old stuff doesn't work anymore. So you have an opportunity to be more aligned with your energy and your big heart, to honor that as your greatest gift, rather than doing all the things and hoping that the latest Instagram post brings in new customers like I was doing. I was building my websites and, doing graphics and doing all the things, but business wasn't growing. And that's because I wasn't putting out offers. I wasn't selling. I wasn't holding space for people. As soon as I started doing that, not from a place of giving to get, but from a place of being of service and helping people, because I know that I have value here and I know that I'm here to help change the world. I mean, if you think about it, if I help one person, if you help one person, you didn't just help one person, you changed the world, because that one person is going to be different. They're going to be more excited, more expansive. They're going to have a new perspective to share with their kids, their significant others, their families, their coworkers, their parents. That's going to have a ripple effect that goes on forever, because the experience that those people had with that one person, that's going to lead them to a different, perspective in life as well. I mean, one small instance where you make somebody smile, where 5 minutes before they're thinking about taking their life. If you give somebody hope about their business when they're about to give up, if you help somebody to do whatever you're doing, if you're working with, helping people to have better trained dogs, right? They're going to have more peace of mind. They're going to have more presence. They're not going to be so high strung because their dog was barking all night and all morning. You're helping to change somebody's life, which effectively changes the world. So I take my work serious and I honor my work and my value. And it's something that I've continually had to see a new perspective in order to get here, because for the longest time, it was a tough road. It was a scarce, lonely road. And I just knew that as long as I keep my attention on being of service, honoring my value and honoring the work I'm here to do, good things will work out. And that's how things work. So
awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to, you can go to adamkiddoo.com/brand. We'll just give you the brand URL so you can get signed up with this show, and Kerstin can possibly keep an eye on you with coming through her link and everything. So I would definitely recommend getting signed up for it. October 14th is the first of 3 live trainings. And I'm telling you, this is going to be something that's going to radically transform how you view life and business and sales from this point on. So join us.
And we absolutely don't want to miss it. So for everyone listening today, you need to sign up for this. And I will share the link also with this video today. Thank you, Adam. I am very grateful that you had time to hop on our brandcast today. And we will see you soon in your live training series.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and thank you for the work you're doing. I'm yet again, I'm a fan. You're doing great work, so thank you.
We are changing the world together.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. Bye.
Bye.